Good afternoon. Today is July 5th in the year 2016. It's about 2:15 p.m., which means it's about 92 degrees and about 98% humidity. You'll notice there's quite a breeze blowing, so I will survive this. Welcome to what I hoped to be legally titled the Nora Kruger Wildlife Reserve in perpetuity. Welcome to my homestead. This is Birdsong, Texas, not the one that appears on the map. This community is much older than what appears on the Texas map. Before I begin panning around, I would like for you to notice the padded down grass in this area right here. This means that deer have been on occasion sleeping here. This is a sure sign. This is one of their telltale signs. Actually, the tree growth, let me back up this way a little bit. This was a retention pond for my first oil well, which was dug in 1980. And instead of letting it fill up, I've allowed it to go dry, collect rain, because right off the bat, I noticed the deer tracks show that this was a place where the deer love to come, especially when the rifles started firing during deer hunting season. And previously I would be able to show you the inside, but if you take a little peek, if I get a little closer, you can see inside this ring of cedars and other trees, there's an open area inside of there which protects them from cold winds and predators. Now, I'm beginning a GoFundMe account to turn this property into a permanent wildlife reserve. And it's not going to be cheap. It's going to be quite expensive. And me, I'm hurting financially. The Saudis declared that they were going to destroy Texas oil fracking. My third well was due to be drilled last summer. There isn't a chance in hell of me having my third or my fourth well drilled for anywhere from 3 years all the way up until my death, which is at any time. And I should state right off the bat that I'm requesting a rather large sum of money. Let me move this way so I can get some more view of the front. There you go. There's a good spot to wonder who that is. See, we have some visitor up there. I will be setting a goal of $250,000, which probably, actually more than a third of it will go to just the labor. This is actually this direction right here is the true north. This is a square-shaped piece of property. Each point is a cardinal point of the compass. So, along this front line here, which it seems like it has really good, like just as over here, as I have grown almost a solid, and that's thanks to cardinals sitting on the fence line and dropping. Cardinals are the only birds I know that can eat juniper berries, so they drop them, and naturally I have no longer almost really don't need a fence line along there. There's a solid wall of cedar. But what you don't see is going in this direction is there's oak, and there's a lot of open spots, and I want to fill that using a wall. I've located a source for 20-foot bamboo that grows 20 feet per season, but unfortunately it will take 3 years of labor in order to keep the initial cost down. It'll take about 3 years of labor to dig up those sprouts and move them around to complete the wall. Now, I should make a point right now, so I'm only going to go about another 5 minutes here real quickly. Is the reason that I want to create this is because very rapidly from the northeast to the northwest, the university towns of Texas A&M and Austin are rapidly exploding out this way. We are highly anti-growth in this county. We're trying to keep it that way. The reason I want to maintain this piece of property is, number one, To the best of my knowledge, it is the highest hill in this county. As you can see off, I've been waiting for weeks to have a clear sky so I can show it. Actually, Kyle Field and Texas A&M University, where I played football at, is just right over there in that direction. But the beauty of this point is, and why it needs to be defended, is because I have over there, I have a neighbor that I don't really care for, is the polite way to put it. I have a jerk over in this direction who's already let 2 llamas die in 111-degree heat, even though he has a modern architectural steel, air-conditioned horse stable, etc. He spent almost $1 million improving that property when it's only about 25 acres of the worst, least desirable property around here. But in this direction, and all around here, I join on to what is about 25 square miles of what is officially or unofficially privately owned wildlife reserves that are just in that direction, not too far from the nearest national wildlife reserve. The biodiversity here is just enormous. We have everything from mountain lions, which came back a few years ago, plenty of deer, but one of the things I'm especially proud of is that more than 4/5 of all of the bird species in North America either migrate through or nest on this property. 4/5. My actual count here is something like 458. I'm losing track. So, to continue telling you why I need this money and so on, is on this section of area over here, I am losing, for the last 7 years, I have lost roughly about 125 to 160 acre-feet of water, which is going off. As you can see, that slight downward slope over there, I need to dig about an 8-acre pond, which will probably require an internal spillway pipe and also concrete so it doesn't totally destroy the roadway, county roadway that's behind it. It's a very short road, but actually I don't care. The county can, I have water, a right for water to run off my property. One of the things I've learned over the years is, by the way, we have ducks now that are staying here over winter. That's one of the reasons I'm wanting to really increase, even if I have to build. First, let me point out, I have another pond that is built the year I was born at 62 years old. You can't see that in this particular area right here, that there's a very well hidden, that's what I told you, is ducks prefer to be blocked from the wind and from predators. They love this spot. Unfortunately, it's getting silted up, and it's going to take some very skillful, I'll even use my finger. I'll have to come in and destroy some vegetation this way. I'll also have to send in a dozer around this way, the back end, and push the dam further back right to the property line to really enlarge it and make it a welcoming spot for birds again. I also intend to put up permanent steel. I'm going to use cargo containers, permanent steel bird blinds and wildlife blinds for photographers and so on. This property will only be open to people overnight in the future who are card-carrying members of the Audubon Society or locals who have proven that they have a true interest in. I wish I could give you a better full 360-degree picture of the property, but unfortunately, so much has grown up and so well, thank you. Actually, right there you can see a little bit of the local, that right in front of me is, no, actually that's poison sumac, which I'm having a little reaction to. I thought at first that may have been some wild grapevines, but maybe if I can, I'm running out of time here. Give you a look into the my deer sanctuary. There you go. You can see it is right there. There you go. You see right there, all in this one little spot. They have protection from predation. They have a little water to drink. And actually, one of the things I need to mention this before the end of this is that deer really love what we call wild Spanish plums, of which I had a huge amount growing up this side of this slope. They seem to like slopes. They're on the slope over here where I intend to build a pond. but that's going to be a heck of a task right there. They love Spanish plum, wild Spanish plum thickets, because they love to nibble on the leaves, number one. And number two, they love to nap during the day. And those thickets give them excellent protection from any predators. If a predator enters from one direction, they're leaving through one of 4 or 5 other directions. In my lifetime, I've learned so much about the birds, the insects, the animals that live on this property. I'm the expert of knowing what it needs. And what I need is $250,000 to do this up properly. A lot of it's going to be labor. Some of it's going to be legal expense. I know right now my field looks kind of bad. It's because I'll actually have to spend money legally forcing the guy who's been using my hay lease for about 50 years. He's now in his late 70s. He thinks he now has earned a right to be here forever. He has not, will not. I know I've made this way too brief. I do want to mention one thing, just to show you how, just a few years ago, I noticed, and still haven't spent the time to, there's a new species of duck that's almost entirely the color of light brown sugar. It's the only duck I've ever seen that can actually go to vertical flight in 3 wing flaps, 3 feet. It's just awesome. So, at least you have a general idea. This is only 50 acres, but it will take $250,000 to improve it and get it locked down legally as the Nora Kruger Wildlife Reserve. I am going to take another minute here. Now, if possible, out of that money, because there have been some serious security issues with the 300 acres that separate me from the very wealthy wildlife reserves back there, which a lot of it's owned by doctors. And I am considering suing my neighbor who has been vacant for about 60 years and has showed a complete disregard for the security. I've already had 6 people put in jail for reckless firing of weapons and so on. That's one of the reasons you need to help me, is that I have closer and closer, I have people who hunt and who are, legal hunters. I'm not a hunter. I don't discharge firearms. So I will make an attempt to sue for the surface rights and then tear down the fence, what little fence there is. I've been maintaining that fence for 40 years, get real. And, so that there's easier access. I've also come up with some very ingenious low hog panel fences so that it makes it easy for deer to get in and out, but keeps the coyotes out. And actually, I'll need to conclude with this. I am looking for someone in the future, maybe in 5 or 10 years, some young person who would want to come live the primitive life that I live, and because there's nothing that will keep coyotes off this property like a live human being like me. I want to thank you for your time, and I've got to get out of the heat and the sun, despite the breeze. This is torture for me because I have glaucoma and vitiligo. I just wanted to show you what a beautiful home I have. I wish I could give you a better 360, but that would require a lot of bouncing around on the camera. So thank you for your time. Have a good day, and please donate to the GoFundMe Thomas Kruger Wildlife Reserve. Thank you.